You remember back in 2017 when Nancy Pelosi was talking about the wrap-up smear, right?
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, you call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic.
Now, the so-called fact-checkers like to tell us that, oh, no, she wasn't talking about the Democrats. She was talking about how Republican. The thing of it is, whenever a Democrat is accusing a Republican of doing something, it's kind of their way of admitting that that's exactly what they're doing. They are guilty of whatever they accuse the Republicans, in particular, the MAGA Republicans, of doing. And take a look at this video. It was from last week. This is an example of how Nancy Pelosi is using the wrap-up smear, or at least trying to, but it kind of backfired on her.
And Joe Biden is doing that, created 9 million jobs in his term in office. Donald Trump has the worst record of job loss of any president. So we just have to make sure people know.
That was a global pandemic.
I mean, look at that face. Look at Nancy Pelosi's ugly puss. The moment this MSNBC news anchor, Katie Tur, reminds her that the reason Trump lost so many jobs in the last year of his presidency nationwide was because of the global pandemic. She didn't want that out there. And then listen to what Nancy Pelosi accuses Katie Tur. Let me remind you, she's an MSNBC anchor. She accuses her of being a Trump apologist.
He had the worst record of any president. We've had other concerns in our country. If you want to be an apologist for Donald Trump, that may be your role, but it ain't mine. And he has the worst. I don't think that anybody can accuse me of
that. I mean, that's great. I love Ms. Tur's response. Well, Pelosi calls her a Trump apologist. She says, I don't think anybody could accuse me of that. Now, the reason that Nancy lost her shit there was, quite frankly, because she was stunned that someone that supposedly is friendly to her side would call her out on this attempt to smear Trump on his job numbers. Okay, now that's just one example of how Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats use this concept of the wrap-up smear to try and destroy a political opponent. Here is a few more examples for you that I'm sure you'll remember.
Called the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody.
I think there's plenty of evidence of collusion or conspiracy in plain sight.
There is circumstantial evidence of collusion.
There's also abundant circumstantial evidence.
With falsehoods and all the rest.
We're also looking at persistent allegations that the Russians have been laundering money through the Trump organization.
The president once said, the Saudis are spending tens of millions of dollars on my Trump towers and buying apartments from me. Why wouldn't I love the Saudis? Why wouldn't I love them? Okay, so they murder journalists, but please, they buy apartments from me.
And then you write it, unless I see it's reported in the press.
The evidence of contact between Russia, his family and associates, and Donald Trump himself has fueled speculation. Is the president cooperating on some level with Vladimir Putin?
So they have that validation that the press reported the smear.
There is significant evidence, much of it in the public domain, on the issue of collusion.
And then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. It's a tactic.
It's a tactic. It's a tactic that we use. There you have it, folks. Nancy Pelosi and the wrap-up smear. Now, don't believe what these so-called fact-checkers are telling you. Oh, the Democrats don't do this. That's only the Republicans who do. What the hell? The Democrats they created this. They've been doing this since the 60s, for the love of Pete. In fact, and they're still doing it today. As a matter of fact, here's Auntie Maxine Waters doing it just yesterday on the Sunday talk shows.
This is a man who we better be careful about. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the president to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack.
Oh, good Lord. What Maxine Waters lacks in the ability to creatively use the wrap-up smear, Maxine does, in fact, project an awful lot. Whatever Maxine Waters is planning, whatever the Democrats are known to do this, they project. Whatever it is that they're planning, whatever it is that they're doing, is what they accuse their opponents of doing, right? Okay, we all know that. So there you go. That's basically an example of the wrap-up smear and also the a little bit of gaslighting and projection from the Democrat Party. I'm Jazz McKay. God bless America and death to the New World Order. Thanks for watching our red, white, and rude video. And be sure and share it to help us build the channel. Also, don't forget to follow me on X, Facebook, and Truth Social, as well as both YouTube and Rumble. And visit the website, thedeplorablepatriot.com. Thanks again, and God bless America and death to the New World Order.